All right. Good morning, investors. Hopefully my audio holds out. It's acting a little weird. So, well, we'll go with it. We'll do some editing. Today we're going to do some technical analysis. Let's start with Tesla. Tesla had an interesting week last week. Over the past 2 weeks or so, it's been in this little downtrend. Looks like it had a nice green day against this trend line that I've drawn here. Since this is one of my first technical analysis videos, it'll probably be a bit longer because I'll talk about some of the things I have here on my chart. Can do more tutorials about any of these tools. Again, I use the Weeble app mostly. Watch my other videos for some of the other platforms and things that I do. I have a Robinhood account, I have a Fidelity account, which I never pulled up yet, so that one's not as interesting. It's a longer term hold, but I can pull it up at some point. So before we get into specific ideas on Tesla, I'm just gonna kind of make my chart a little bigger here and just kind of talk about some of the indicators I like to have. Try to keep my charts relatively clean. It's easy to get to drawing on these things and have a lot going on. Excuse me. And it's okay to make a mess out of your chart and make bull cases and bear cases and just see what ideas come to mind as you're analyzing these things. The tactics I use, I'll do that. I'll make a mess out of my chart, erase it all, and do it again. Just for the practice of looking at charts, because I feel like screen time is very important. So the more you do it, the more experience you get, the easier it will become to see trends or take action in the moment. So again, I don't necessarily recommend shooting from the hip per se, and I didn't start this video with not financial advice, just a guy on YouTube. So I hate that I even have to say that, but it is what it is. Where was I? Lost my train of thought there. For CYA. So, yeah. I want to talk about the charts, draw on them, make a mess out of them, erase it all, and do it again. I feel like that is a good way to learn. Have a beginner's mindset. Don't be afraid to draw things that might not make sense to other people. I have on my charts the VWAP. I like the VWAP, volume weighted average. It acts as good support and resistance. You can't see it here because I'm on the day time frame, and it's an intraday indicator. So when I get down to lower time frames, we can talk about that more. I like the 20 EMA for a closer line to what the price action is doing, and the 200 EMA for longer term. Look in the links below. I'll link other YouTubers that talk about some of these things. Trading Rush comes to mind. There's a lot of good videos there. He talks about the VWAP, MACD, lots of things. He's got some good videos. I think it's still an active YouTube channel. Some of the videos are a year old, some of them are a couple weeks old, so I imagine it's still pretty active. So I already have drawings on this chart. I have other stocks coming up. I think I've left them blank so that I can go through and actually draw and talk through it. I'm going to talk through drawings that are already here. So I'm kind of trying more than one way of doing this. So I've been watching Tesla for a while. I had originally invested after the split. They had I believe it was 5-to-1 split. It was up to 1,500. No, it was 3-to-1 because I think it dropped down to 500. And then shortly after, it dropped down to 3. So that's why I was misremembering which way it went. Because I bought in around the 300 mark after that split, and it's back up to, 670 or so. Button. Sorry. Still getting used to presenting things. So yeah. Closed at 7:09 on Friday. So, pretty good. I've doubled my investment on those, I think, 4 shares that I have. That, again, my account is, I don't know what people say is a small account. It's a lot of money to me. So, anyway, back to the chart. So I like to usually start out by looking at the daily time frame. At a beginner level, if you don't know what that means each of these candlesticks, each of these vertical bars, many people call them candlesticks, encompasses an entire day. So as you scroll around here, so I'm back here, that's the end of the year last year, the end of 2020. So each bar you go, that's a whole day. And I like to start at this level. You can go further out. One of the phrases I've heard many times is, when in doubt, zoom out. So if you're down here on the 15-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame, and you think you see something happening, remember to zoom back out, because the closer you get in to the 1 minute, the more noise there will be. So yes, these are little micro trends, micro action. If you're into wave patterns, you can see them starting to form at those smaller time frames. And many people suggest making your final decision on these smaller time frames. But again, when in doubt, zoom out. I like to start at the daily. I usually start by looking for areas of support and resistance, or nice little trend lines. I don't remember exactly the order I drew these in. This trend stuck out to me. We have higher lows going up after a nice little pullback. So that trend, I believe, we have a nice little continuation pattern here. It's gone up. It's pulled back. It's hitting that trend line. And I believe it can extend further. You can see I have some extra lines here. These are the Fibonacci extensions for this trend. If you're unfamiliar with the Fibonacci retracements or extensions, they can be a handy tool. Again, as I said, I try to keep as clean a chart as possible. But play around with these tools, draw them, get familiar with them, because they can create good indications of where to get in and out of trades. And many of the big algorithms that are out there use a lot of these numbers to buy and sell large quantities from the big brokerages. So it's important information to have in your mind. So another thing I saw on this chart, there's a nice level of general support down here. You can see it acted as momentary resistance back here, pulled back to that 20 EMA. Seems like it was respecting the 20 EMA in this uptrend here. Pulled back, broke above it, traded it in an upwards direction in this channel. Finally reached the top early this year and has pulled back since. And again, kind of hit this support level, dropped below it for a bit, down to that 200 EMA, acting as support, and then reverse direction into this nice little uptrend. So it's popped up, pulled back, popped up, pulled back, or even sideways, again using that 20 EMA as dynamic support. Popped up again above this resistance line here. As you can see, it hits the tops of these candles here, here, and here. The more tops or bottoms of candles that you can get your support and resistance lines to go across, the better. Let's just zoom out and look back here. You can kind of see tops, 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 bottoms, 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 handful of outliers. Nice little uptrend, right? Uptrend, and then here was a moment of decision. And it went up. If it would have pulled back, probably would have pulled back to somewhere to that 200 EMA level, and then continued. So those are the reasons I use these. And again, on that intraday time frame, let's zoom in a level before we get into this triangle and talk about the VWAP a little bit. So let's go to the 15 minute. I like the 15 minute. I like to zoom out. See if I can, how much of the picture I can get in here. Again, I'm at the 15 minute, but I've pulled my chart back so I have all the way back to the beginning of March. And you can see again that area of resistance. Hit tops there, kind of topped out there. You can see this downtrend starting to form in the sideways action. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Also lower lows. It's kind of funny that my Fibonacci extension levels, I think I drew that on the daily, and the line I drew, there's some dynamic support there. I gotta pause for a moment. I need a drink. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. But yeah, it used that as dynamic support. And I think my cursor was on the other screen for some of that, so hopefully some of that made sense. I'll see what it looks like. But yeah, you can see let's zoom into the VWAP a bit. So if you're more into day trading, following these trends on a daily level, let's get extended hours on here. I like to have the extended hours as well. That VWAP can act as resistance. You can see it kind of holding down the trend underneath it. Holding it down, holding it down. Let's zoom back out. Let's find a place where the trend kind of reverses. So you see this downtrend here. Kind of starts here, gets underneath the VWAP, gets underneath the 20 EMA. Heck, it's even underneath the 200. Got pushed all the way down into that area of support, traded sideways and down until we get to this here, this trend change. You see, as soon as it started trading above it, as an indication of the trend change, the large engulfing bullish candle, slight indecision, but it's a hammer with another engulfing, so good indication of trend change. Came up, started trending in that upwards direction, sideways after hours and upwards to this point, and then again fell below the VWAP. So I'm gonna pause. Excuse me. I'm back. Gotta get another drink. Not used to talking into a microphone like this, so I apologize for the scratchy throat that's starting to happen. Alright, so now that we've kind of talked about why I use some of these indicators, let's get back to the other parts of this chart. Things I like to have handy and available, but I keep small most of the time, and then I'll expand it when I want to look at the details. MACD, highly respected. Let's see if I can. Yeah, my face is going to be in the way a little bit. I'm going to move me up here while we talk about these lower charts. Okay. Let's get to the current time frame here. MACD, moving average, convergence, divergence, highly respected indicator. Can act as an oscillator as well. It can help you determine entry signals, exit signals, above and below the zero line. Do some more research on that. I don't have I don't know exactly what to explain on this one. But it's another aggregate of the number of candles that came before. Many traders use this. Many other traders have better explanations on the nitty-gritty of it than I do. We have the RSI, stochastic RSI in this case, relative strength index. The stochastic in particular, again, it takes averages. So anytime you average things, it tends to smooth out some of the noise. Just kind of personal preference on this one versus the regular RSI, but it's extremely similar. Let's zoom in. Just looking to see if there was any good divergence here. This is going up, this is going down. We got a little bit of a, you could make the argument that this is a bit of a bearish divergence. I'll see if I can find the links to a handful of good videos that do a good job of explaining these divergences. Me personally, I'm still a buy in this situation. I'll talk about some of my levels that I feel are good numbers for entries and exits, or at least targets, generalized targets. We also have, I also like average true range, the ATR. It gives you a good sense of how much the stock can move in a given time period. So we're on the 15-minute chart. On average, this is after hours, so you can see how little the stock moved after hours on Friday. During the trading day, you can see that, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong screen. You can see that it moves about $5 in a 15-minute time span. So let's look at this large engulfing candle. That one looks like it opened at 672, closed at 682. But because it's an average true range, it took the average of some of these smaller candles before it. So even though this price movement was large, its average true range is only, $4, or in this case $3.87, even though that particular candle moved $10. So many people use the average true range for setting entries, exits, helps them follow the trend. Some people do 2, 3, 5 times the average true range depending on the size of the trend that they're trying to capture. So let's go ahead and downsize that. Let's go back out to the daily. So usually I'm looking at the chart in here and trying to interpret all that data in a much smaller area. Because let me come back over to my recording screen and move myself back down to this area. Because I like to see my orders that are happening, my positions. Some of this information I'll actually pull up on my phone. There are a few things I actually prefer to look at on my phone, but I want it available on my desktop as well. Price action, very important. You can see real lifetime information if you have level 2. It's reasonably priced on Webull. It's a couple dollars a month. Well worth it. Price action, volume, key levels. These are all important parts of a trading strategy. Sorry, adjusting my video again. So, let's talk about the specifics of the Fibonacci that I've drawn. The Fibonacci that I've drawn. So, we have a drawing tool up here. Let's go ahead and just erase this guy, and we'll draw it together. We have the retracement and the extension. I haven't really played with the time zones too much. The few times I have, it can kind of help you see what the time frames might be to hit those levels. So we can draw one of those together as well. So let's start with the retracement. The retracement can show you what might happen when a particular uptrend pulls back. So you start at the bottom of the trend that you're following, and you pull it up to the top. Now, here's the top. You can choose that. You can also I can see that it started to pull back. Here, so I feel like even that candle there would be a good one to choose to see how far it pulls back. So let's just keep it simple. We're on the daily. So now we can zoom in and look and see if it's done pulling back. As I said, we have this nice little trend going on that is also respecting. So these are just general guidelines to help you figure out your entries or exits, depending on the situation. So let's zoom in 15 minutes. So you can see pulled back all the way to the 50%, and it held that. That to me is a good sign. If it would have broke down below that 50%, that to me would indicate that this downtrend wasn't done, and it would be looking for support somewhere that isn't this trend line. And the somewhere that isn't that trend line on the larger chart would more than likely be the top of this candle, or all the way even down to this green line that I referenced earlier. But it seemed like it respected that. So I believe that this little pullback is a good sign for our bull case. So let's go ahead and get rid of the retracement. Delete that off there. And do the extensions. So the extensions are a similar theory to the retracement, but it's the opposite side. You can follow an uptrend and the corresponding downtrend, and if you feel that that downtrend is at its end, it can show you the next levels up that it could reach. So let's go ahead and do that. Very similar. Start at the bottom, go to the top. It needs 3 points. So now I'm going to go to the bottom of where I believe that downtrend has ended. And now that can show you where some upcoming levels of support and resistance are. So you can see this big engulfing candle. It's larger than the previous candle. That's a good sign. But we do have this resistance to contend with. So it might be a handful of days before it can break that. Again, that's another place where the ATR can come in handy. You can see it trades about $30 a day. So if we want to get from 700 to 730, it might need a full day or two to break above that, especially since it is a resistance level. It might take all week, because that resistance level we've drawn on a larger time frame. So it is a solid resistance level. Last time it was up there, let's see, January to February. It was up there for about a month. So we have some people who are holding up here. There's a supply up here they might be trying to get rid of. So keep that in mind. So let's downsize all my lower charts. That's one thing about Webull. Sometimes it's hard to find these dividing lines in dark mode to adjust your charts on the fly like that. Obviously, when you're presenting, it's even more difficult. So let's zoom in and look at some of these entry levels. It's down. Got this $710 after market. I feel like that's a good entry point. I have written down in my notes entry points at 700. You can see the 700 mark here. It's good support on this 15-minute time frame. I also have written down 695 because look, we have that 200 EMA. If it comes down to that, it just recently broke through it. It could start acting as dynamic support. So to me, 695 is a good level. I also have written down 685, which is around this level, because it's the top of this large engulfing candle. But it's still above my trend line. Now if it starts breaking lower than that, that could mean this is a false breakout. And that would invalidate our new trend, and this downtrend could continue. But in my eyes, since it is right at and slightly above this resistance, and we're in an uptrend, it may pull back some, but I don't think it's going to break down here, personally. So, I feel like 680, 695, 700 are all good entry points based on the ATR and what I'm seeing on the chart. Now, as far as exits, kind of depends on when you get in. You know, I have 715 as an exit. It's only $5 up. Now, the reason I say that is because I have options in mind. If I wait for this pullback Monday, even if it gaps down, I probably would buy a call at this low point and then sell it again when it reached, because I have enough money in my account to not worry about the pattern day trader rule. So 715 to me would be a good level for that. And I'm mentally prepared for if it were to gap up or gap down. If it, you know, I'm going to be watching in pre-market and see what happens. Post-market was pretty flat, building stability in my mind. The 200 EMA is coming up to support it. So, feel like that's a good scenario. I also have 722 written down. Again, these numbers are very tight for Tesla. Tesla can swing $40 in a day, like I said, given the ATR. It could go from 680 to 715. It could go from 710 to 750 on Monday. Where's 750 at? 750 is up here. Right? You're gonna meet some resistance up here at 750. So, I feel like this is especially since options gives you leverage, I feel like there's calls to be bought and then resold on Monday. Let's go ahead and look at the options chain on this one. See what we can find. I'm gonna pause. Alright, I'm back. So I think I was talking about target levels and how much Tesla can actually swing. Again, from the ATR, we can see that it can swing $30 in a day at times. Let's go out to the day. Yeah, 35 to... Back here, it was average swinging $50 in a day. So, like I was saying, I feel like there's some calls that could be bought. I'm going to look at the options chain for Monday. So by the time Monday reaches, these will be 4 days to expiration. End of the week on Friday. And let's see what kind of entries we can find. Scroll down to at the money. Or even in the money. Options. So, again, I have been watching a lot of options videos. They're starting to make more sense to me. I don't know that I can explain all the ins and outs of them very well to other people, but I'm just going to talk in, so I'll just talk in some generalities, and I'll probably explain some things kind of incorrectly, but we'll just roll with it. Let's dismiss this. So, like I said, $700 is a good entry point. But how much does that cost? Let's click on it. Let's look at the graph. Zoom out. I do not want to sell it. I want to buy it. So, if we buy a call, this call is gonna cost us $2,000. I don't know that I have $2,000 in buying power because it's so deep in the money. But the probability, my break-even's only 724. I guess I took the probabilities off. But you can sort of use delta as the probability. It's got a 57% chance. You're controlling 57 shares, essentially. The max delta you can have is 1, essentially. That's owning a stock, is a delta of 1. You're controlling 1 stock. Here, we're controlling 57 stock. But also in terms of percentages, you can also look at this of the odds in your favor or against you, depending on the situation. So a delta of 57, pretty good odds that this is gonna stay in the money. Pretty good odds that we could go up to 724 by the end of the week. So, and those 720s were in my targets earlier. So let's see what other options we can find that are still within a reasonable target and a bit more affordable. So let's go down here. This is basically at the money, slightly out of the money, because it's above the share price. Strike price, 710, which technically after hours. It's showing the market hour price. So these numbers are all going to change Monday morning. That's the one bad thing about looking at these on a Sunday. So we have to look at the market Monday morning at the opening bell. And sometimes Webull will even have these kind of blanked out early Monday, because all the algorithms are updating. So you can see this has quite a number of, where's my open interest at? Large number of open interest. We have a pretty tight bid-ask spread. Again, I don't know why it keeps defaulting to sell. This one still almost $2,000, but where we were before, 2,300 versus 1,800. Again, it's hard to see your option buying power on this screen. There's some things on the phone that I prefer. Break-even point 728. Again, well within reason given the charting that we did earlier. Let's go even cheaper. Let's see open interest on this one. It's 2,000, right? This column here. Pretty tight bid-ask spread. I feel like this price is probably going to come down. There's more sellers than there are buyers. So we could probably get this one, around 1,300, 1,350. Break-even price, 733. So let's double check the chart for 733 and see if that's reasonable. Close call. It's above that resistance we talked about earlier. But we are in an uptrend. And we know from the ATR, Tesla can swing $30. So if Tesla gaps up on Monday, we might miss that even, depending on how early you can get in. Again, these numbers are outdated. They're from Friday. So I feel like these are good targets. A lot of open interest. This one, both seem to have good liquidity. Price of this one's probably going to go up some. Again, these are outdated numbers, so I don't know how representative that's going to hold on Monday morning. So, I feel like I've talked about Tesla enough now. Let's go ahead and let's just kind of journal ideas, what to look for. That portion, I'll try to cut this up into sections so that you can look at the different options and stocks that I have. These next two sections will probably be a bit shorter. I went in pretty in depth on some of my charting techniques here in the first section, so hopefully the next two sections are a bit smoother. So let's go ahead and switch over to Genworth Financial. Let's shrink these all down. Go ahead and make this larger so you guys can see that. So, now that I've kind of talked about some of the methods I used, again, I have a few things already drawn on this chart. I have a position of 1 on this stock because I got it for free from Webull. Not sponsored, by the way. Just the platform I've been using. And I drew some areas of support and resistance. It's another thing to keep in mind. It's easy to think of support and resistance as a singular line, because you're going up here into the horizontal line tool, and when you click, you just get basically a single spot. But it's not that simple. It's usually an area. You can see here in this downtrend, it dipped down, it dipped down, it dipped down. It's hitting this area of support. Even dipped below it until the trend changed and shifted back up. Right. It finally broke back above that 20 EMA and started that uptrend. Same thing here at the top. I have the tops drawn. Let's zoom even further out. Too far. A little bit longer term highs. Right? That resistance there is going to be tough to get through. But because it's been trading in this channel for years, literally 2015, it's been trading in this general channel. I don't know much about this company, to be honest. Mortgage insurance products. The real estate market is super hot right now. I know there was a lot of things going on with Rocket. They had a little bit of a squeeze not that long ago. I don't know anything about this company's fundamentals. Like I said, I got interested in this chart because I got free shares. So, now that we know that we have this super long-term channel, we have some interesting things to think about. Because in the long term, that 200 EMA has finally dropped down low enough to come into play. So if it can maintain above it, you know, it's got this huge, this could turn into a huge layer of support to be trading in the fives. You know, because we had this huge gap down. I don't know what happened in 2015 to this company. I find this chart interesting. So, zoom in a bit. This is a parabolic move. So, that would give me pause because the odds of it holding that, especially with these huge gaps in the chart, it's using this midline as an area of resistance. It's used a lot of energy to get here. I like to think of the market as a system of energy. It expands, it contracts, it coils, it rebounds. There's a lot of math involved. Most of the algorithms, they have no feelings. I'm sure there's sentiment programmed into them. Market scanners, chat scanners to get positives, negatives, and put that into the weightings. But if you think programmatically and mathematically, what is the next move? Where it used this energy. Again, this is a super long-term chart, though. So let's zoom in and be a little bit more short-sighted. Because, like I said, in the short term, we've broke above this 200 EMA. The last time it did that, it was up here for several weeks. So if it were when it continues up, I think it could hold up here for quite some time. So even though my one free position is down here, and I would essentially be averaging up, which is a risky strategy to buy in at these levels, especially after a parabolic move. But if it starts using this area as support, it could be a good entry. I didn't do ATR analysis much on this yet, so let's just take a quick look. We're still on the weekly. Each of these bars is a week. Had a pretty powerful week, so the odds of it having, another huge green candle. There's two in a row here, though. Nice little uptrend. Gapped down to pull back down to the area of support. This one is also pretty parabolic. The market likes to repeat itself. It likes to move in these patterns. Not super great at some of the wave form patterns that are out there. A, B, C type of thing. Again, I'll put links below to people who are better at this than I am. Stock Dweebs. I watched his video today. He does a lot of great technical analysis. Many others. I'll have a long list of people. So maybe this is a good short opportunity. Is this stock shortable? Let's find out. Again, I don't trade shorts. Let's see here. Marginable. Come on, Weeble. Weeble kind of glitches out on me when little panels like to move around. Sell Gina. I don't see the short button. Maybe I don't have that up. Let's look at the options chain. You can also take a short position by buying a put. You know, 5 days. Let's look at the puts. These puts all pretty cheap to buy. This has a lot open. Oh, that's S size. I need to move my open interest, I think. Let's do that. Where do I want open interest? Before last. We'll do it live. Make that a little bit easier to see for all of us. So you can see I have the all options on. Not many open interest anywhere in this option chain for things expiring at the end of the week on the put side. Quite a few on the call side. People are buying calls. You can see 50 interest versus 3. I don't know if these are... Many of the articles I've read say that the bid-ask size can be multiplied by 100 or 1,000, depending on the platform. I don't know what Webull does. I wish they had some better documentation, or maybe I just haven't found it. But let's look at the little probability chart down here. Max loss, $2. So, not much skin in the game. But it would have to fall below $3 for you to make any money. Not very likely, given the chart we just saw. Let's look at something further down. What is the delta? Here we go. Let's look at this one. The odds of it being underneath $6 are about 68%. This is the way I look at this. Kind of, again, it's not exactly what delta is for, but it's a good indicator for me. So, we're buying a put. Would have to fall all the way down to $1. So, I said some things wrong there, didn't I? I misinterpreted the chart. Or the options chain. Easy to do. Options are complicated. I'm still learning. Presenting live. So, let's go this way. Kind of got it backwards there. Let's go back to this one. See, none of these look good to me. I've already got it wrong by looking at the wrong side of the option chain. And there's no good deals here. So this chart, like I said, it has some interesting aspects to it. I think I'll just kind of keep this one on my watch list and see what happens. I don't think I would take any action on this one. Not after a parabolic move. Nothing in the option chain's looking good to me. And I already made several mistakes reading it. So, let's move on to Neo. Now Neo, I'm already invested in. I have nothing drawn on this chart, because I wanted to do this one together. So let's start. Here's my position. Average cost, $40.50. Pretty much right at my cost right now. Give or take. You know. So, let's grab our horizontal line. I'm going to start area of support. I usually like to make that green. And let's see if we can draw a second one. Zoom in just a bit. We are on the weekly. Let's switch to the daily and zoom out. Okay, that's better. So, there's our first one. Let's get a second one in here. See the bottoms of all those candles? Top of that candle? I feel like... Does it feel... Is it... We'll edit that out. This looks like, to me, a good area of support. Let's go ahead and find our resistance. Top, Candle there. Candle there. Candle here. Let's make that red. Zoom a bit more. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and make that one here. It's quite a bit wider than my area of support. Let's tighten it up a bit. Again, it's an area. It's a guess of where the price action could be. There are more precise ways to do this, obviously. Again, I'm doing this live. Sometimes you have to just kind of follow your instincts in the market. Again, that's kind of a dangerous piece of advice, so trade at your own risk. Now, I feel like I need a trend line. I see higher lows. Have a nice little wave pattern here. Went up, pulled back. Went up, pulled back. Went up, pulled back. In this channel. It's down near our area of support, near the 200 EMA. Could be some good buy levels here. Trend line. Alright, so I want to draw a trend line. Get my trend line. I see higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. This came down to the 200 EMA. Using all of this as support. Drag this. That's bad. Let's do that again. Boom, boom. Let's drag the chart a little bit around. Let's put that about there. Bottom. No, I don't want to move the whole thing. Come on. See, again, I'm trying to be overly precise. This is just not meant to be that. Come on, Weeble. There we go. I just wanted to make this trend line a bit longer. I was trying to kind of capture this down wick and the bottoms here, here, and here. And it's a pretty tight little coil. So, if it breaks down below this trend line, I'm okay with that. Because I know there's support right here. To me, this is a good buy zone. You know, these, again, because I'm on the daily, that goes all the way down to the 30s. I'm in at 40. That's $10 difference. It's actually quite a bit. I'm okay owning where I'm at. Because I think it can continue following this up. It's making its headway, and it's building this good base layer to get up above again. Last time it held above there from December to February. It was up there for 3 months, a full quarter. That's not right. Yeah, that's right. Essentially, it held up there for a full quarter. So let's look at my positions. I have Neo. And I have a covered call at 45. It's close. They might get called away if it reaches up there. In that case, I'm actually kind of hoping it doesn't break that, and I get to keep my shares. But if they get called away, so be it. It's above my cost basis. That I've learned from many videos on watching wheel strategies. Sell a cash secured put at a price you're comfortable owning. If you get assigned, sell covered calls against it above your cost basis. Rinse and repeat. It's a good strategy. I feel like works well in things that are within a range. Obviously, like I said, I'm personally bullish on Neo. I have these 10 extra shares that I am considering mine to hold or build to. Be looking for some more buys if it does come down even as far as this support area. And looking for sells above this. I probably should have looked a little bit harder before I set this covered call and set it further above that resistance so that they didn't necessarily get called away. But if they were to get called away, I make a profit. It's a capital gain, so tax implications there. But I'm okay with that. I feel like this is a good position to be in for this stock. So I think that's what I'm going to end on today. I'm going to end on Neo. Stay safe out there. See you Monday morning at the opening bell.